I was whispering it. Am I really live?
Yeah, no,
Can they hear me?
Alan Toy's in the chat.
Holy smokes, Alan. How are you, buddy? Okay, today we are going to talk about why strategies matter. Leading up to a webinar, me and my friend John at Craps are going to do a webinar Thursday the 20th, I believe. It's the 20th?
Yes.
It is the 20th.
And we're doing some strategy help as well.
But in order to get information about the webinar, it's a free webinar. You have to go to our cqnexus.com, scroll to the bottom of that home page, and there is a little sign up. We have the bridge compilation. And if you haven't gotten the newest one, it's like version 3.3 is, I think, is the newest one. You want to get that because I'm constantly upgrading it and adding new stuff to it. So jump on that. There's also going to be a free strategy available in our strategies portal. I think it's called the Baton Rouge. It's a roulette strategy. It's going to be coming out later today, hopefully. So those of you that are in the mix. Okay, so our newest platform for online training, CQ Nexus. So head on over there, cqnexus.com, get that bridge complete. All right, let's get to it. I'm going to give you a quick yapping lecture about why strategies matter, and then we're going to ask you for your questions about strategies on a craps table, and any help you need with strategies or any feedback you want on strategies. Try not to type it in because then Alan Toy will give you some feedback, and we're not sure if that's going to be qualified enough to. But if it has to do with coinage, he's the guy. Coinage, that guy is just out there killing it. Okay, so I'm going to run down a few really big points because here's the thing that I find as a dealer in Vegas, which is crazy because it's always part of my classes. People walk up to games with the same idea and the same money. So imagine this, and many of you, I think, have done this already. You have a couple $1,000s in your pocket, you walk into a casino floor, and all you're really looking for is table minimum signs. You want to know if you can, $10, $15, $25, you want to take a seat. And meanwhile, you don't really pay attention to the rules of the game, which, by the way, are different based on the casino and the table, even for craps. Some places pay 16 and 31, others pay 15, 30. So if you're saying to yourself, what does that mean, David? Well, that's what I mean. You don't know how the game works. What are you
just
missing?
asking the chat. I raised the volume a little bit. Let me know how it sounds.
Really? Do I need to put this closer?
No, I think you're fine.
Okay.
I just raised the game. But
You raised it? Okay. And then, of course, there are places that pay differently in the field. There are places that you have to pre-buy and post-buy. So there's a lot of rules that vary based on the casino and also the amount that you play, right? So if you're playing at a lower limit table, you're going to have rules that maybe don't favor you as much. Higher limit tables that favor you more, right? And then based on the casino that you go to, so there's a lot of factors. Now, let's get to this. The strategy part of it is also important because some strategies play better based on the casino and their rules, okay? Some strategies you cannot play if you're looking for a $10 table and all they have is $25 table. So having a strategy and knowing where you're going to go is very important, right? Okay. The importance of the strategy, I'm going to get back to the person that rolls into the casino with just money in their pocket and really no strategy. So now you have, there's nothing that disciplines you. There's nothing that creates sort of barriers, you know what I mean? That where, you're out on this road, you just keep going, you're chasing wins, you're chasing losses, you're doing whatever, you're just trying to stay in play without thinking about sort of the ramifications, how you can maybe parlay wins or how you can do it risk leveraging, all these other things that go into creating opportunity at a casino table. So what we'd like and what we promote is having a strategy that fits your narrative, and that's the other part of it. So your narrative is different. Everybody has a different risk tolerance, right, or a tolerance for risk. So when you walk up to a table, maybe you're only willing to risk $25 on a game. Maybe you're only willing to risk $100 on a game, whatever the case is. So that will influence the strategy you have in mind. So before I get too lost in this, I do want to show you one thing, and here's what I do. Hopefully, I happen to have a tablet phone, which, by the way, I'm not a big fan of the tablet phone because this is number 4. So Samsung, get your act together and fix this whole seam shit. But anyways, on my tablet phone, I download Crapsy, and so I have it here. And it's unless, as far as the phone goes, but I download Crapsy and I'm able to play. It plays brilliantly on the fold. So if you have a big screen like this or a little tablet, you can take it with you at practice. And the idea is, I want to know my bets. I want to know how they work on the table. But more importantly, so I will set it to manual so I can feed in manual rolls so I know what to do when something rolls. So based on my strategy, if a 5 rolls, what do I do? If a 6 rolls, what do I do? If my pass line bet, wins, what do I do? So I will set it for manual entry so that I can dictate how the dice come, so I know if the dice come this way, this is how I'm going to interact with the table, or this is how I'm going to communicate. And guess what? If you're part of our CQ Nexus, we have, you become part of this free membership tier, and we have forums there. You can ask your questions inside of our community circles, and we're happy to answer those questions. If you can't come to Vegas, whatever the case is, if you're home, we're happy to help you out with that. So, it works brilliantly, by the way, while we're doing that. Now, you don't have to be worried about the RNG parts of it. You don't have to be worried about the timeout parts of it. This is really just a very, very useful tool. If you download it, you just go through the Android or Apple store, and you can use it for free. And if you decide you like it, then you pay $5 a month. And then with that $5 a month subscription, you can go in and enter manually. Okay, you can't do the manual entries on the free side, but if you pay the $5, and listen, if you're coming to Vegas with $3,000 to play on a crap table, it's worth the $5. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just that. Okay.
Someone said, "What's the CQ Nexus?" It's our
online. It's our learning platform. So it's an online community. We have dealer courses, player courses, strategies, downloads, literally everything. So I would say we're making the big pivot from offline. We know a lot of people can't get to Vegas, and then you play locally, this type of thing. So it's a way for you to access all of our content, on CQ Nexus. So it's cqnexus.com. Right now we have dealer courses. We have blackjack, roulette, and Bach. The blackjack course is very comprehensive. The craps course is coming. They're almost done. We're just a couple weeks away. It took us, so we've been working on it for 4 years. But 2 years of filming and 2 terabytes of video that they've been going through and editing. It's really a fantastic course. It'll be over 100 individual video lessons or lessons built in.
Yeah, we're not quite sure yet.
We're not exactly sure how many, but it'll be over 100. It's just it's the most comprehensive thing. We had a company come out and work on one with us, but we didn't like the end result so much, and so we nixed it. And we did it ourselves.
Which answers Alan Toy's. He left the member chat. He said, "Hi guys, when is Craps coming out on the Nexus?" I'm just gonna say soon.
Soon. I think we're realistically, because we have to do some B-roll. I mean, we want it to be, so not only do I have a lot of dealers and players that are interested in the course, I have a lot of casinos, and we want to make sure this is really just a foundational course for us as a whole. We're going to sell a lot of group licenses. I have casinos in Washington State, the Cherokee Nation. We have a lot of different people reached out to us. Craps is a big deal.
Yeah, we're trying to make sure it's quality.
So we want to make sure this course is. Now the blackjack course is not at the same tier that the craps course is, but it's a high tier. The blackjack course is very comprehensive. I feel like if you go through that course and practice enough, there's a great potential for you to pass an audition. Maybe have a few questions, stuff like this. The roulette and baccarat course are very whimsical courses, just so you know. In terms of dealer, if you're taking those courses, they're only $50. They're half of what the blackjack course is $100. Those courses are $50. They give you a really introduction to the dealing components of Bach and roulette. It's hard to roulette. You really got to spin the ball. There's a lot of mechanics that are part of that are very important. So I wouldn't qualify those in the same way blackjack, and craps will be a whole nother level.
Yeah.
So we, and just as a point of reference, like the 2 people that did most of the copy or writing and organization is myself and another guy named Brian. And between us, we have 71 years of dice experience between 2 people, which is pretty great. So it's a very comprehensive course.
Okay, back on topic.
Back on topic.
And by the way, anyone for questions, I see some great questions. We'll answer them a little bit later. Just Dave wants to go through a little spiel real quick.
Yeah, so we're getting to the strategy, why strategy matters. And a lot of it is common sense, but it's crazy how many people kind of lose their minds when they come to Vegas and belly up to games. So on a craps table specifically, here's one of the really strong parts of having a strategy. Well, besides the fact that you can dictate your budget, dude. You can come with a plan and a certain amount of money and understand how the money is supposed to work on the table. But most importantly, it gives you a leg into managing your money on a craps table. We touched on this a little bit, money management before, but when you have a strategy, now you know how much money you expect to invest per shooter, what kind of return you want to get, and then almost more importantly for a lot of us, like what's the exit, or what's the opportunity. And by having a strategy, you can understand what that opportunity, because if you have a strategy, instead of you just looking at numbers and looking at bets and just feeling your way through it, now you know where you are in this strategy. You know what steps you need to take to create and maximize your opportunities. Still got some sound issues?
No, just keep going.
Okay. So it's really just about, it's the same thing if you're going to open a business or spend any real money on anything, right? You sit down and you work out a plan. You come with a plan. A lot of you that go on vacation, you have an itinerary. You know what you want to spend. You know what expectations you have, like based on what you're spending. Same thing with a strategy. And yet, 90% of the people that I've dealt to in my lifetime have no real strategy. They have an idea of how they like to play the game, and then they go on tilt almost immediately. So if they catch a roll or they don't catch a roll, whatever the case is, they change up, how they play. That's really the other thing. The strategy keeps you disciplined, right? Gives you a pathway to whatever success you're looking for. You can have a realistic outcome, a realistic expectation. And instead of you, going on tilt and changing the thing. We played with a bunch of guys. So we did the bridge workshop a couple weeks ago. We went right after the bridge workshop, and we went out and gambled together. And we luckily caught a guy starting a roll, and the roll was fantastic. I don't know if there's a few of you in the chat. Maybe you can share. But basically, we had a lot of really nice wins. One of the guys won more money than he ever won before on a crap table. And so it really had worked itself out. And in all those cases, they had a working strategy. And in fact, one guy won a little bit less because they didn't stay quite on point, you know what I mean? Whereas the other guy was like, listen, I'm going to create opportunity, just got done with the bridge workshop, and we're just going to go for it. And it worked out really well. But anyway, so that's really like, why have a strategy. We are going to go into more depth when we do this webinar on the 20th. So don't forget to sign up and get to the site. We'll follow up with you. You get a little newsletter. It'll have the exact time what to do.
Again, cqnexus.com.
cqnexus.com. All right, enough of that. All right, let's get to the questions because I'm here. My hands are all warmed up, ready to go. What do you got?
Okay, let's see. First question is, you're going to like this question.
Oh.
When does Keno hour start?
By the way, I got 2 tips today, post facto. That guy mailed a tip in for the challenge. Can you imagine that? It was fantastic. Forgot to tip, mailed the tip in, and so right after this, I got a business meeting, and then it's off to Keno to hit something big. And
if you want some Keno, there is actually a video that went up today on CQ slots.
Is it
literally
good?
Right at 4.
Do I win? And I'm going to do some teaching videos too on why I play certain games, because certain games have different types of play and different types of returns. You know what I mean?
It's Travis.
Okay.
Says, question.
Yes.
When to buy versus place the 4 and 10, the 5 and 9, including on bubble craps.
Yeah, when to buy. So my understanding is buying on the bubble craps is just they pay you down, right? It doesn't leave the bet necessarily.
Yeah, so it's a little frustrating.
It just changes the interaction of the bet. You're still getting, because on bubble craps pays you right to the penny, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it assumes. So on bubble craps plays that a little differently. That would be an Alex question because he's asking specifically for bubble.
Well, he's asking including bubble craps, so both
including
scenarios.
Bubble. I mean, here's what happens in Vegas. If you're going to a lower tier property in Vegas and you try to buy the 9, it only works at $20, and only works at $20 if they don't pre-charge for the VIG. So you can't do this at Jerry's Nugget and work out. So by that I mean, because here you have $20 9, right? It's going to pay $28, right? If you buy it, it's 30. It's 30, right? Because that's throughout 3 to 2. Blackjack, it's blackjack, minus the $1 for the VIG, so you're making 29, so you actually, make out an extra $1. But if they're pre-charging you, you end up with the same 28. Doesn't make sense. So at this point, you really want to get, you don't want to pre-buy it until you get to 30. So the pre-buy at 30, because this is going to pay 42, right? And even if they charge, it'll work out pretty close the same way, actually, now that I think about it. So for you bowlers out there, I would say, now I'm saying, probably 50. Yeah, 50, for sure 50. Okay. Now, I mentioned the early tier properties because you're going to say buy the 5 and 9, they're going to look at you strange. But technically, this is a good bet here in Vegas. There are some other jurisdictions like Biloxi, There's a casino in northern Michigan or Illinois, Michigan.
Well, I'll say when it comes to bubble craps, the only thing that's annoying is because you have to replace them.
You got to replace it, but in every case, other than the 6 and 8, you should just always buy because they pay to the penny and they don't pre-charge you for the buy.
So if you're okay doing a little extra work,
yeah.
buy them.
So yeah, just hit that buy. Just put your money on the buy, and you just have to replace that. That's our experience. But I do know that some of them have been changing that a little bit, right? There was one I saw that just auto buy. Like they don't even mess around. There's new software.
I think on the 4 and 10 some of them are, but I don't know about 5 and 9.
5 and 9, yeah. 6 and 8, it never really makes out sense. It never makes out.
Because you get paid the same.
But on pennies, it could be interesting. There might be certain bets.
But it doesn't let you buy it on the ATG machines. On
it
the
doesn't
6 and 8?
on the 6. It just doesn't even offer that.
Yeah.
But on a crap table, it never works out because of the way the rounding is. But yeah, go.
Mark said, any questions or similar strategies to power pressing for crapless? I mean, you could just play triple X on crapless and not play the
you could play triple X, or you could do the same thing. I feel like here's the interesting thing about the GM spin if you play it out on a crapless table. If you're willing not to get any money off the table, you can actually go all the way across. So for example, here let's do this. So this is 110, okay? And now so what he's saying is GM spin, right? Let's say the 9 rolls, it's going to pay 35. You're going to throw in 15 or a quarter, right? Now you're going to go to 75, right? So now remember, we're missing 4 numbers, 11, 12, 2, and 3, so we're missing 4 numbers. Now watch this. If we come down on the 9, and we're really just looking to pay for our action on the table, okay, we now have all the money we need to add everything. We can add the 4 and 10, here's those 2, and now we can add the extremes, here's these 4, put a nickel back in the rack, not a big deal, but you got to pay it. So the thing about crapless craps, which makes it such a good game for the casino, is all the people that are going on tilt playing the extremes. But if you're one of those people who likes to play the extremes and likes to get all your money across, this is a way to pay for it, right? Because there's not a lot of ways to get out. If you try to do this with, now the other way to do it is just start at 160, do the same thing, you know, and again, but you're risking more money, you're putting more money into play. But look, 110, not that bad, but you're not putting money back in the rack, you're just paying for your action. You know what's interesting is...
You could probably do like an extreme outside, hit like a power press, and then...
One of our dealers that's working at the El Cortez right now, Vincent, came in and showed us a strategy that he has that I'm going to share with you guys. I'm going to do it. I'm going to steal Vincent's strategy. I'm going to give him credit now, but not when we film the video. No, just kidding. So Vincent does this interesting hopping bet to pay for his money across. So if he wins it, he will use it, and I will show you guys where he just uses that to go across, and it's not all that crazy, to be honest with you. I'll show you. We're gonna film this strategy on Friday. It'll be up on. Do we put it up right away, or is it wait that Friday video?
Oh no, it's gonna go for
the next
YouTube.
Friday?
It's the next Friday.
Yeah, for Patreons it goes up that Friday.
Yeah.
And then YouTube is next Friday. Yeah, I'm gonna show you a very interesting hopping bet that he does, that puts him in a green action game. And so if it hits, he plays, and if it doesn't hit, he's like, well, got to wait for the next shooter kind of thing. And that way he's only in, get this, he's only in $42.
$42.
And he's in quarter action, dude. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
young dealers do. See, here's the thing. You start out in this business as a craps dealer, and you spend the first year trying to figure out how to beat the game, dude. Like, swear to God, you have all these players come in. Most of them lose, but the few that win a lot of money, you're like, huh. You know what I mean? You're like, I could have done that. If I caught that roll, I could have done that. And now you're just like, how can I make this happen for myself?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Now, for me, that 2 years lasted about 5 years, I would say. Yeah, but.
Well, one of my favorite, I don't know a lot of crapless strategies, but it's one that Alex plays. He plays the 2 and the 12.
Yeah.
He'll buy it. He'll parlay the bet basically if it hits, and then if it hits again, he goes extreme across.
Yeah, so like John shared with me one of his strategies. He starts on the extremes and then he buys into the inside. You know what I mean?
I've seen that too.
It's kind of counterintuitive, but I feel like that's the way to go. Most on a crap table, counter intuition seems to be the winning strategies. Yeah.
Someone said we still on triple X. Yeah, triple X goes at the end of most of our strategies. Anyways.
Yeah. So all of our strategies are getting out some type of regression and then boom, right to triple lux. Or we have a new one if you're at the higher tiers where we do power press plus. So I went through all of our craft strategies that we have on CQ Nexus, and I've added the power press sheets. We redid them. We reorganized them. They're much cleaner, much easier to read, and it's a linear. So one of the complaints I had was like the plus minus, but now it's very linear and it's at all the tiers. In fact, some of the tiers 50 to 100, all the way to $5,000. And then we have, if you get the GM spin strategy that's up there, you also get the there's another power press plus sheet that we use specific for the GM spin. Yeah. Which, by the way, without any doubt whatsoever, that has been the most successful double tap. It's basically a power press double tapping system. We had this wonderful woman from New York City who came in here to CQ a couple weeks ago, and she was with her sister, and she just didn't feel like there was any value. You know, what are they going to teach me? She already knew a little bit of dice, and she got on a table with Nick. And you could tell at first she wasn't having fun, and then she got into it a little bit. But then they went to the casino, and they used a double tapping, basically GM spin. And they did really well. It was the first time she had won any kind of money. And of course, she went and apologized, thanked us that, you know what I mean? It turned out to be, of course, she won, thank God. If she had lost, oof.
And then for anyone who's wondering what a double tap means, it's just a power press and then a regress usually.
Yeah, so yeah, double tap is a power press, and regress, because you're just double tapping the number before you take it out, right? So if you have a 15, let's say you have a $10 9, right? If it hits, it's going to pay $14, right? You're going to throw in $1, you go to a quarter, and now that's the double tap, $35, right? And now look at this, you take it back to 10, you got $50 actions paid for, yeah?
That's an interesting question. Someone says, is bubble craps taking away from the actual game, as bubble craps allows for the casino to maintain higher table minimums on the real table?
Yeah, so taking away, does bubble craps take away? Okay, I'm gonna answer that in a few generic ways. So first of all, very interesting. I have a video coming out about how the games have done this last year, and craps has gotten beat out roulette for the win. That's right. Craps beat out, more money was won on crap tables than on roulette tables this year, or this last year, which is the other thing that's also crazy is the hold on crap tables is about 16%. Can you imagine? This should be like a 2-4 game, if you know, but 16%. So that means 16 cents that every dollar spent on craps, casino kept. Years ago, it was more like in the 8 percentile, 9 percentile range. It keeps going up, you know what I mean, because crapless craps, that kind of thing. What the hell was the question? Oh my God.
Is bubble craps taking away from the actual game?
Okay, so here's what I think. I think bubble craps is introducing people in a way that normal crap tables just didn't in the past, right? There is something to be said about the intimidation factor of craps table. Walking up, especially if there's like 3 guys, and then you got a big guy sitting in the middle, and it's empty, and you're trying to ask questions or learn. It's a hard table to interact with, and it creates some consternation. I used to teach. I was the guy that the casinos would send downstairs to teach craps, right, to new customers, right? Not because I was any good at teaching craps at that time, by the way. More because I was just very extroverted, and I just enjoyed integrating or working with people and stuff like this. But the thing that I found is, after I taught them, very few of those people actually bought in, right? I worked at one table very specifically, and we were using promo chips to kind of explain how you can interact with the game, right? So everyone was basically given 20 of these promo chips, and as I introduced them, we were able to move the chips around the table. There are other casinos that don't use any chips, they just point. This place here, they would point because technically you're not allowed to, they got to buy in or they don't, right? Because it's a gaming thing. Using the promo chips was very helpful because now they had a stack. They could put 1 promo chip here, take 2 promo chips for odds, and we were kind of restricted on what we can teach them. But very, very few people, very few of those people, even as they got comfortable with the game, would then go ahead and buy into a crap table. Now, with bubble craps, it's like a slot machine, right? You can kind of sit there, take your time, you can look stuff up. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you can even pull out your phone. It's a very comfortable setting, especially the interblock machines, which I love, because then you're under no pressure You know, especially if you're starting out, just look for the inner block, the one where you get your own little bubble and dice, because there's literally, you could just sit there all day. You know what I mean? You could do it nice and slow. I will, before inner blocks, I had never played on ETG. We even saw the roll to win table before they had the inner blocks. And me and Alex, I just didn't like them. I didn't like how you move the chips. I always was, that timer always threw me off. The minute the timer goes, I'm getting all panicky, trying to get my place bets. But when interblock came out, I ended up playing it quite a bit with Dennis, a few different places we went to where, right? Yeah. We played it in Oklahoma. We actually did really great. We had hardway parlays at
I think it was Blackhawk.
In Blackhawk, Colorado.
Yeah.
And that's really the first time I really dug into, you know, we weren't comfortable on the crap tables. There was a little room, but $15 crap tables get expensive quick. And we were like, let's play $200. And I think twice, we played like 3 times.
No,
and
I think
twice
we just played $50 and we walked with $250. I think.
Yeah, it was great. We had a good fun. So I think that in that respect, I think it's helping the game in general. I always get asked questions about how ETGs are taking over for the tables. Well, they're really just not. You know, it's 2 different mentalities and dynamics. There's nothing to me and every person out there that plays dice a lot. You can't touch the social parts of this game. You know what I mean? The idea that you're investing in somebody's role, and if you go into a casino and you're playing slots, and you start hearing that, that cheering and that crowd thing, you know it's a crap table most of the time. You know what I mean? Sometimes on a blackjack table, the dealer busts, everybody's got, big fat hand, whatever it is, and but when you hear that excitement, that's usually coming from a dice game, and it makes you think, maybe that's for me, maybe. But
and to add my own anecdotal thing is, when I play bubble, I'm playing to get away from people. When I go out to the table, I want to socialize. It's like 2 different dynamics, right?
Yeah.
Like
the one part about the bubble craps part that kind of irritates me a little bit is they don't enforce the bet integrity. So like there's a lot of people, when I say that, there's a lot of people that bet in increments of like $5. They don't add the cap to the 6 and 8. So I have people that have played bubble craps that come and see me, and now I got to fix it. I got to show them how the bets work and those types of things, where that's another reason why I like the Crapsy app, because it has betting integrity. You can bet across and it shows you what that bet is, right? And you can scale up those bets dynamically, right? Which bubble craps just doesn't care, right? Yeah.
That's fair.
Yep.
Let me find the next question. I had it and I lost it.
Uh-oh.
1 second. What is the next?
Can they see me?
Not right now. I didn't play.
Oh.
Someone said, "Will you ever do a live stream on the Palms $5 table?" Do they even allow recording?
Maybe. You know what's so funny? We know their new VP. It might be possible. We do. So we have a friend of ours. I would say a friend of ours, someone who we know pretty well, who now took over to Palms and is doing a fantastic job, by the way. Like I feel like I will just say, I feel like for Vegas, it's very short-sighted to not have these $5 tables, especially at casinos where not a lot going on. You know who I think would really benefit, because I don't think the Fontainebleau is doing the kind of business they're hoping, and I think they would benefit greatly by reducing the threshold, the barrier to entry on all their games. Everyone that goes there is like, wow, it's a beautiful place, but holy crap, where are the customers? You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things. But I think there are more $5 games going now, so I think so, yeah.
Someone asked an interesting question.
Yep.
So my question has to do with, what is the payout for the lay bets?
All right, well, lay bets are just lay bets in general.
That's what they just said, lay bets.
So let's look at it. It's really easy. It's reverse true odds, okay? So here, let me do this. So if you have a bet on the 4 and 10, here, let's put this as a quarter, and it's a buy, right? You get paid 2 to 1, and you got to pay a vig based on the smaller number. You see what the smaller number is? It's the bet, okay, on the 4 and 10. It's the bet. I'm going to give you guys a quick class. Watch this. I hope this helps you. So on the 4 and 10, I tell dealers, listen, we get paid double minus the commission. The commission's 5%. It's $1 for every 20, but we also charge you $1 for the quarter, all right? On the 5 and 9, right? You normally get 7 to 5, but if you want true odds, it pays 3 to 2. Okay, so 3 to 2 would be 30. For in this case, 20 would pay 30, and you're going to pay $1 vig, $1 for every 20, the smaller number, okay? On the 6 and 8, by the way, holy crap, I gotta do this differently. Let's do this. How many people are watching? David made a little.
We have 230 people.
All right, stay tuned. Okay, so here, let me do this a little differently. All right, so you guys don't know, but in my brain, I gotta fix it. So we gotta scroll that back a little quick. All right, so let's just
put it down here so I can see it a little better.
Only because, okay, so here, these are come bets. I should have represented them as come bets. All right, and then we'll go into kind of the vig, because they're the opposite of buy bets, or the opposite of place bets technically. But it's easier to understand if you understand, come bets. Okay. So the odds on the 4 and 10 pay 2 to 1, okay? Pay 2 to 1. The odds on the 5 and 9 pay 3 to 2. It's just like blackjack. So if you have a $30 bet on a blackjack table, you're going to win a pile and half a pile. So it's 30 plus 15 or $45, okay? All right. On the 6 and 8, every green one is going to get you a red one. Okay, every green one's going to red. Everybody with me so far? Okay, so every green one is going to get you a red one. So in this case, this $25 odds is going to get you a red one, right? You're going to get 30 bucks. Is everybody still with me? Okay. 30 here is going to get you 45, and this is going to be double, all right? So this is going to pay double. This is going to pay 45, and this $25 odds, okay, is going to pay 30. Okay, now, here's how we can look at it. Forget these flat bets. You see these flat bets? We don't need these flat bets when we're going to make a lay. Direct lay. Okay, we don't need the flat bets. All we're working with are these odds. Okay, so what we do is it's exactly in reverse if it's behind the number, the direct lay. It's exactly the reverse. So where 50 wins 100 on the 4 and 10, 100 is going to win 50. Okay. Where 30 wins 45 on the 5 and 9, 45 is going to win 30, okay? And where 25 wins 30 on the 6 and 8, it's going to pay 25, okay? So it's exactly opposite, right? This class, by the way, is pretty involved when it comes to dealers, because now we got to pay a vig based on what you win, all right? So the vig is going to be $1 for every $20 that you win, all right? But the casino does give you a little break for the first couple of quarters. So for example, here's 100. You're going to get 50 bucks, but you're going to have to pay based on the smaller of the two numbers. So this is the bigger number. You're going to pay $2 for that win, for the privilege of getting true odds behind the number. This is what they call a direct lay, okay? Now, the way you would bet this is you would tell the dealer, hey, give me a $50 no 10, or lay the 10, not a $50, lay the 10 for 100, or give me a $100 no 10, okay? They can see here, can they see me, or can they see here?
They can see the table.
Yeah, okay. So the dealer would then take your money and move it behind the 10. Now, remember, this is not a DC bet. We don't put the money here. If you want to do a direct lay, you put it right here in the come, okay? So if you're a player, just put it in the come. Tell the dealer, I would like a $100 no 10. And they'll put it behind the 10. They're going to put a lay button on it, so these buttons have to have a lay button. And now it pays reverse odds. So $100 is going to get half. So whatever you have behind the 4 and 10 is going to be half. You have to have it in even numbers, okay? So if you have 100 and the 7 rolls, guess what? It's going to pay 50, half, okay? And then you have to pay a vig based on the win. Okay, the win is the smaller of these two numbers, you see? So now you're going to pay $2. Now, the same goes true with this 9. You give the dealer $45 and you say, hey, dealer, give me a $45 no 9. They're going to put it behind the 9, and they're going to put a lay button on it, okay? So remember, when we did that earlier, 30 pays 45. 45 here pays 30, okay? It's the exact opposite, right? So if this bet hits, you're going to get paid $30, and most casinos, by the way, are going to charge you $2. So it's $1.50 would be the vig, but they'll round it up. Okay, so they're going to round it up. You're going to lose out. And then on the 6 and 8, every 30 is going to pay 25. Okay. Now, there's an interesting way that we work this, and I'm going to get to that in a minute, because some of the best bets you can make on a crap table, by the way, is the lays on the 6 and 8. So let me show you. I'm going to give you guys a really quick lesson on this. It's this one. Every 3 gets 2, right? I have 3 15s gets 2 15s. Okay. On the 4 and 10, it's just half. Whatever you have there is going to pay half, and for every $20 you get paid, you're going to pay $1. Okay, it's as simple as that. Okay. Now, some casinos will charge you up front, and some casinos do an auto lay. All right. So a lot of casinos, even if they don't charge you up front for the buy bet, so this is a buy bet for $50, right, which is going to pay $100. Okay, and you're going to have to pay $2. Some casinos will charge $2 up front. You have to prepay, right? Most casinos in Vegas, you have to prepay for direct lays, because guess what? Not the biggest fans of lay bettors, right? So lay bettors kind of not the biggest fans. Casinos tend to charge you up front, even if they don't charge you for the auto buy. Okay, they'd much rather you be here than here, clearly, because we know, right? Okay, so so here's the 45. Now think about it this way: if you have a $75 no 9, you give the dealer, hey, dealer, $75 no 9, right? They're going to put it behind the 9, and every 3 units is paying 2 units. I got 3 quarters, it's going to pay 2 quarters. If I have $60 here, so what's my unit? My unit is 20s. So I have 3 20s, right? 3 20s are going to pay 2 20s. And guess what? And because it's 2 20s, this $60 no 9 is going to pay 40 for $2. Okay, 40 for $2. All right. But here's where dealers get thrown off. I'm going to take these down a little bit. Well, no, let's leave them. Okay. Let me finish. Now, when you have direct lays, you can never turn these bets off. They're always working, because the 7, you get paid on all of them, right? So you can't say, hey, take my 10 off, leave my 8 and 9 there. That's not how it works. The only way you can turn down a direct lay is to actually just ask for it back. The dealer, if you say off, the dealer is going to literally give it to you, and now it's off, and now you'd have to pay to put it back, or whatever case is. All right. If you didn't prepay the VIG, they won't give you anything. If you prepaid the VIG, you would get the VIG back. All right. Okay. But let's look at this. I want to give you guys, do I have time? I want to do the 6 and 8, no?
You have 19 minutes before I have to go.
19 minutes. Okay. So here's an interesting thing about the 6 and 8, and this is how I teach my class, okay? If you have a lay on the 6 and 8, if it's a good place bet, it's a good lay. So if you guys know place bets, any good place bet on the 6 and 8 is also a good lay, you see? So if someone gives you $36, okay, guess what? Good lay. So that's the first thing we have. It's a good lay. $36 is a good lay. If someone gives you $90, you know that $90 is a good place bet. Guess what? Also a good lay, you see? So you could just put it here right behind the number, good lay. Now, what do we charge them? And, what does it pay? Well, whatever is under the cap is what the lay pays, okay? And the cap is what's divisible by 6. So, for example, okay, if we know the caps, and by the way, you're like, well, I don't know my 6 times table. You don't need to know your 6 times. All you need to know is the caps. If you know 6 to 60, okay, you know all the caps, okay? Because every single number on the 6 and 8 is derivative of 6 to 60, right? So what's the cap on $6 8? It's $1. What's the cap on a $60 rate? It's $1 add a 0. What's the cap on a $600 rate? It's 2 zeros, $100, you see? So if you know this one, you know all those. Here's $12, right? So what's the cap on $12? Well, it's a $2 cap, because that's 2 6s, right? So the cap on $12 is 2, okay? What's the cap on $120? It's $20, okay? So what's the cap on $1,200? It's $200. See, we're just adding zeros. 18, what's the cap on 18? It's $3. Now, and then so on and so forth, we're adding zeros. Now, the reason why this matters is whatever is under the cap is what the lay pays on the 6 and 8. So if you know the cap, every check needs to be made on the 6 and 8. You know what this $30 no wait. So if you take it and you know it's a good place bet, you put it behind the 8, put a lay button on it, and now all you think of this as is sort of like a place bet. What's the cap? The cap is $5 if this was a place bet. What's under $5? There's a quarter. It pays a quarter, okay? Let's say you have a $36 8. You know that the 30 has $5 cap and the 6 has a $1 cap. So what does a $36 8 pays? Well, it pays $30, you see? Whatever is under the cap is what the lay pays. Anyways, It's
You're not gonna get that quickly, by the way.
you're
It
not going to
takes a
get that
second.
quickly. It
All-
takes a second.
All the students take a second to get through that.
Yeah.
Now, someone said, what's a $48 cap? That is $8
$8.
cap.
So $8. So here, if we put out a $48, we know that 48 pays 56. 8 times 7 is 56, so 48 plus 8. If we move this behind here, what's under our $8 cap? $40.
Yeah, by the way,
Paid.
I see some confusion. Yeah, it's one of those things that takes a second. You
Yeah, it does take a
Even
minute.
the students here, when they learn dice as you
Yeah.
know, dice dealers,
Yeah.
takes them a second to get it. Anyways, I'm gonna go rapid fire. No,
Rapid
no,
fire.
no long.
All right, no long-winded thing, because Dennis has a premiere to go to.
I have places to be for once. I have places to be.
Yep.
Someone asked about the Hopa. What do we think of the Hopa strategy? We've never seen the Hopa strategy, so
Haven't
we
seen
would
the
have
Hopa
to
strategy.
look that
Don't
up.
know. Yep.
What are your thoughts on playing a strategy and table just doesn't warm up? It gets part of the couple numbers before 7 out. Do you leave, stick it,
Yep.
stick out the 10 shooters, change strategies?
Stick out the 10 shooters, dude. I can't begin to tell you. There was so many times. I don't have time for the story today, but I have a story about one of the coldest tables I ever saw. And then 2 people stepped up, both rolled the fire bet back to back, all 6 points. And I had all these grown men just standing back for the game, convinced the table was cold. I don't believe in cold or choppy tables as a dealer. I feel like at any moment, the game's going to be choppy, the game's going to get cold, and then all of a sudden someone's going to just belly up and roll for 30 minutes, whatever. ATS conquered. We experienced it at Palace the other day, so I just stick with it. That's my strategy. That's what I've allotted myself. Me and Alex were at the strat on our last $2, and I didn't want to play this strategy. Me, at the very end, I was like, oh my God, we got to get more conservative. Let's just not. And Alex is like, screw it. We came here to play this strategy, and sure enough, we won all our money back on the very last roll. So,
Yeah, you can't predict the dice.
no.
Thoughts on dice setting?
Okay, I'm gonna make this as a caveat. We had some dice setters come out, won a ton of money. They won too much money, and now the alerts are out. The alerts are out. Dice setting can be. I mean, there are people that practice a lot and can move. The problem is really the back wall. So if the back wall, if you got to randomize the dice, or you know what I mean. If you have a strong crew on a crap table that's not letting you, or that's making sure that the dice are being enforced, it's really hard to take advantage of a dice table.
What would you recommend Big Bird strategy with a $2,000 buy-in? I would probably say squeeze
With
play
2,000?
550. Yeah, 550.
Yeah.
No, that's too much.
Yeah, so GM spin with 550, you'd only have a couple shooters.
Yeah.
The other way to do it is to short money it and do 150 on the 6 and 8.
I mean, it depends on how aggressive you want to get. If you're in 2,000
Yeah,
and you want to do
2,000
Big
is
Bird,
tough.
maybe just triple Lux. I don't think there's much else.
Really?
Just get super aggressive.
You can just start out with Duck Ragu on the 6 and 8 at the $100 level, Big Bird level.
That's true.
Yeah.
Any tips for craps on cruise ships?
Yeah, I mean, we get this all the time. So we have, what's his name that does the
Holy
cruise stuff?
Roller?
Holy Roller, dude. He is just the king of cruises. So he actually has a channel that's Holy Roller, right?
Yeah, that's
And he talks about it. He talks about it a lot. He's literally the guy. He's a really nice guy. He's a fantastic human being. And he ends up getting all these cruises comped. And I feel like he's already conquered that. We've been invited on a few cruises, but I have yet to experience that. So, yeah.
Do you guys ever feel comfortable in buying in the middle of a table roll? As long as the puck is off.
Yeah,
for
if
me.
the puck is off. If someone shot the point, I'm in. Especially if I see someone shooting. I have walked up to a table sometime that's been really excited where the puck is on and they're in the middle of just waiting. Let's say the propositions are going crazy and the table is just paused and you have a chance to buy in, plenty of opportunity to buy in and get on, then I think there's no problem. If the hand, the dice are out and things are going, then you should just stop and reconsider. Of course, the casino really doesn't care. Money on the table is money on the table. But you should show some etiquette. There was a great hand the other day. Everyone's cheering. And there was a moment where the game just stopped and they paused. And the dealer had plenty of time to let people buy in. That's a situation where I think, it's fine.
So what is your go-to now if you're going in with short money, 200 to 300 bankroll? But the question is, what's the minimum?
So, yeah, $10 table I think is fine. And then Duck Ragu, just build off the 6 and 8. I've done that many times in the past. I had this very famous roll at San Remo where we just started with 12 each on the 6 and 8. And you have a $25 investment. You use the 6 and 8 to build out. I mean, it's kind of hard to take out $300 at that case, right?
Yeah, it just really depends on the table minimum you're on, right? So like if you're on a $25 table, that's going to go less than something else, right? Because you didn't give a table minimum. You just said what's
So if it's a $5 table, I would do 22 inside. I would do GM spin. I would go to the pumps and literally play this, right?
If you're on the $5 table, I would just do squeeze play.
Because 9, 20. Well, that's what he would do. What I would do was the question. Would they ask? I mean, no. So then it's 21.
They just said what's our go-to.
What's up? My go-to with short money is to find a $5 game and go 22 on the inside, and GM spin it.
I would do squeeze play.
And if you want the units, and we have is squeeze play and GM spin both on the strategy thing?
I don't know if you set squeeze play live, but it's uploaded to the back end.
Well, GM spin. So
GM spin is out there.
GM spin is up there. Ultimate squeeze play is live, I think.
I'm not.
I think John. It was supposed to go up yesterday, but it'll be up either today or tomorrow, or today. Hopefully today.
Oh, let's see. I lost my spot. I gotta find it again.
Ultimate Squeeze Play is a fantastic system. GM Spin and Ultimate Squeeze Play are 2 favorites by far.
Thoughts on hedging your bets?
Yeah, never hedge a bet on a craps table. You diminish opportunity. Here's where I would say, if you're in the middle of a fire bet and you're on that 6th number, I feel like that's a great place to lay, right? So those of you that know dice know what I'm talking about. It would take too long to kind of go into that. But I do feel like, it's just easy money. I mean, you guarantee yourself an exit. So if you're on a fire bet, especially if it's a 1,000-to-1 fire bet, I would get on the lay. So if you're missing, you're on the point of 4, you're on that 6th bet, and you got $5 on it, for a $5,000 payout, I would literally go to the ATM, get all the money I needed, and throw a $2,000 lay on the 4. So I'm going to lose 2, but I'll be plus 3, or I'll have an extra 1,000. You know what I mean? Like, I can't lose in that aspect. So I would do that. I'm that guy. I'm that guy. $1,000, $1,000, dude. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's a lost opportunity because you're guaranteed that.
Yeah, just make. By the way, he just to clarify, if you're already on the fire bet and you're already made all these points.
Obviously, if you're on the fire bet.
Because some people would just be like, well, if they rolled the fire bet.
Yeah, so if you're on a fire bet and you have 1,001 fire bet and they're on that 6th number, hedge that bad boy. You know what I'm saying? Get that free $1,000.
Someone said, I thought the California and El Cortez have $5 tables. I'm not sure if El Cortez has any, but I haven't been.
Not anymore. They have $10 tables, El Cortez. In fact, one of my dealers who works there as a crap dealer, he just said they're 10 during the slower shifts, and then they're 15 and sometimes 25. By the way, they're killing it over there. Patrick and Adam over there, man, holy crap, that pit is unbelievable. Yeah.
Can you raise or lower your odds on the pass sign or don't pass in between rolls?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. As long as you're not maxed out, you're welcome to it. Now, not when the dice are out. Don't late bet it, because you'll look like you're trying to cheat. But if you start out low odds, here's the thing, by the way. You should always place bet on the line. This is why learning the game is so important because you're going to get much better. Well, if you're not maxed, obviously, once just throwing it up there on the odds will be better because you get true odds clearly. So if you're not maxed, you can just keep adding to your odds. Once you max these odds, like let's say we had in this case double odds, and here we have 30. I know it's 3, 4, 5 a lot of places. Just using this as an example. Then you want to start building a place bet on the line. Okay, so that's the better opportunity than adding to the line and adding more odds. You should always add a place bet on the line. Until your odds are maxed, though, just max those babies.
Apparently we did the video on Hopa. I don't even remember Hopa.
Really? Which one is it? We did the video?
Yeah,
maybe you mispronounced it.
Hoppa.
Hoppy?
Hoppa. Something like this.
Oh, really? We did the video? We don't even know what the hell video we did?
Keep in mind, guys, we do a lot of videos.
I do a lot of videos, dude.
But if we do find a good improvement, I'll have to look at it.
Dennis will go back in the archives, dude. We'll follow up with you. Yeah.
I saw a good question, but I lost it.
Really?
So many questions. What point do you change strategies if it's just not working? I don't.
He doesn't. I do, actually. I will change strategies. So what's interesting for me is instead of going on tilt, I have found that my risk tolerance changes dramatically. And so I will always have something as a backup, strangely enough. I usually lean into budget tiers a little bit, but what's crazy is I feel like I want to change the investment, right? So like there's a point where if I get too depressed as I'm playing for whatever reason, I will change the way that the strategy works, and which technically is just a new strategy basically, right? And so that has actually cost me some money and also saved me money in the past. So if it's just ridiculously cold on the table and I'm just not feeling it, the vibe's gone. All of a sudden I'm only here. I got $500 and I'm already at half my bankroll in 10 minutes. I will literally switch strategies, and I'll have something backing up. So that's where like going back and you'll be like, well, David, you said you didn't believe in cold tables. Yes, it's not like I'm sure. I just want to change my investment strategy. So for me, I see it more like the budget tiers. So as I have this budget, I work on this strategy, and then as that budget diminishes, I sort of create this new opportunity for myself.
Someone said, Dennis, only play the field much better than baccarat or roulette. I'm not sure if the field's better than baccarat.
No, it's terrible. Field is terrible compared to baccarat. Baccarat
maybe
is
roulette, but I don't know about baccarat.
Field? No. Field is terrible. Field roulette's still better. It depends on how you play roulette, what bets you play. But field can be a worse bet than roulette. It depends on bets. So the bets that suck on baccarat are all the bets that suck on baccarat. Like if you just bet player or banker, you know what I mean? If you bet all those side bets, that's where the casino has you by the, you know what I'm saying? That's where the casino gets you.
Oh.
Damn near 17% hold on baccarat last year.
Someone says, do you play hopping bets? Most of the time, no.
No, but we do have a brand new video coming out on how to make bad bets the best bets.
Yep.
Coming out.
Let's see.
So there are ways to take advantage of the props and integrate them into working strategies, give you more bankroll, stuff like that. And they're fun. Shooting for hard ways, especially if you have a point that has a hard way. I have been known to bet a lot of hard ways for the dealers. I'm sure many of you guys do, that kind of thing. Yeah?
Someone asked, can you bet the pass line after the come out roll in some casinos? Yes.
100. You can bet it at all casinos. It's a put. So it's putting on the pass line, right? So if the point's already established, the point's 5, you can walk right up, take a pass line bet, add odds. You should not do that. Do not do that. Do a place bet on the line. Put it right here. Intersect the middle of the check with the outside line, and then lean any other bet. So if you're planning on doing 5 and 10, okay, let's say, look at this. Let's say the point's 5. Let's say just a $5. This compounds itself with higher denominations. You step up to the game. You want to get into the action. Here you go. You do this, okay? Guess what it's going to pay you? It's going to pay you $20 if you win, okay? If you had taken the same $15 and did this, intersected the bottom check on the outside line, healed the other checks off, it's going to pay $21. Would you like 20 or 21? You see what I mean? So you should always place bet on the line. After the fact, place bet on the line. Yes, go ahead.
South Point have $5 tables? I don't think so.
Not at South Point. It's mostly $10 tables. I have heard they have a lot more $10 tables now. Here's the thing about South Point. Only double odds and no funny business at South Point there. Those are old school Michael Gaughan people there, which I love Michael Gaughan. It's a great casino. Only double odds. And the only hopping bets you can bet is what's on the layout. So if you want to bet a 6-tree hopping, ain't happening. You got to bet the horn bets, the hard ways. Like literally, if it's not printed, you can't bet it.
Okay, these are our last 3 questions.
Last 3, go.
This one's interesting. What is David's least favorite bet on a craps table?
My least favorite bet?
I don't even know if you have the answer like right away.
Wow. I think it's just any hopping combination of the dice that's not a part of the horn, right? Like, I get a little triggered by hard ways hopping because we used to have these guys that used to come in and hard ways hopping, and it was just absolute mess when I was on the stick. So I think that's my thing. Those are probably my least favorite, yeah.
Which is a better hedge, on the come out roll, C or horn?
C or the horn?
Yeah.
Betting the craps? Oh, if you're looking just to hedge, you should only bet the craps on the come out roll. Because the horn bet adds an 11, right? So, I mean, you're already winning. That's not really a hedge. You're taking away part of that money to cover the 11. So, like, we have this video coming out. We talk about this, but, like...
We'll go in more detail.
We'll go in more detail. But if you're in the The only hedge you need is a crap check, right? I mean, adding money to add the 11, you're already winning on the 11, right? No need
come
to.
out roll, come out roll.
On the come out roll. Okay, so on the come out roll, the same thing. So, you know, if you have $15 on the pass line, just bet a $3, or even a $2 will get you most of it. But $3 crap check gets you 21, put a little profit. If you split this up, put it on the 11, or if you add money and put it in the 11, this is where the tilt part comes in. You know what I mean? A little bit lack of education. And if you are going to bet a horn bet, you should bet the horn high ace deuce if you're at $25 level, you see? Because now you're getting full recovery, dude. You're in full recovery mode. With horn high ace deuce is the correct answer. I get asked that a lot, or I used to get at which horn high bet? Horn high ace deuce is the answer, dude. You know what I mean? All right, what else?
Okay, this is the last question, which I thought was interesting. Any superstitions on what causes a 7 out on a table?
Any superstitions?
Like
Listen,
your own superstition.
My own superstition? Well, I do believe that if you call out the 7 a lot. Here's the thing, my superstition is whenever I talk shit to the player and I'm like, no pressure, they almost always roll the 7. You're gonna hear that. So in my videos I do with Dennis, I'm always like, no pressure, and then boom, there's a 7.
No,
I
yeah,
call
that's
it
true.
right out there.
That's my superstition as well.
That's
is
his,
every
yeah.
time David talks shit.
Every time I say no pressure.
So I blame all my bad shots on David.
So a really quick story. So whenever I worked at the Rio back in the day, a couple casinos, right? They would always I was always on like a late swing shift, early graveyard, and the supervisor would come over and say, hey, when you get that last shooter, you could say last shooter or something like this. And of course, every time you did that, the shooter would just roll. That would be the longest hand of the night, dude. Here we are trying to close the table, and this guy, now he wants to roll the ATS, the fire bet, and that monster hand. So I would always lean in and go, we're just trying to close this table, no pressure. You know what I mean? No pressure. And inevitably, 7 would come up. So everybody else sort of fell into this same superstition, and so every time they wanted to close the table, they'd be like, hey, David. I would tap the guy, the dealer out on whatever base had the last person shooting, and I'd be like, sir, we're just trying to close this game. You're going to be the last shooter. No pressure, no pressure. And then, of course, here it comes. There's a 7. David can go home. Here I am clapping. I shouldn't be clapping, dude. But I used to do that a lot in a live game, dude. It was something, it just ended the table. Because the minute you say that, that's when the person feels the most pressure, right? That's like when you're at the restaurant and they're like, we're trying to close the restaurant, sir. Could you finish up? You know what I mean?
It's like when they say don't think of an elephant, but you're thinking of an elephant.
Me and Dennis were at this place one time, this little Mexican place, little taco place, and they're putting up the chairs. We're sitting there, and they're literally putting up the chairs on the tables next to us, and which is literally the hint, get the hell out, right? So this is kind of the hint on the crap table, get the hell out, dude. No pressure though. All right, there you go. Bam.
Anyway, say the line.
And I am quite literally off to Keno on 1.
And the truth is?